In a small Akan village nestled between rolling hills and ancient trees, there lived a woman whose love could conquer the world, Mama Margaret. Though her life was hard, her heart was full, for she had one treasure in her life, her son, Kofi. From dawn until dusk, Mama Margaret worked tirelessly, often going hungry so her boy could eat, always whispering in her heart, "One day my son will rise above all this." She worked hard to put food on the table, often going about so that Kofi could have a better life. Every sacrifice, every tear shed in the dark was for him. And though her hands were rough and her clothes were humble, her heart shone bright with love and hope. As Kofi grew older, he left the village to seek his fortune. In the bustling city, he found success, and soon enough, he was wealthy beyond measure. He married Amma, a beautiful woman adopted by the powerful Madame Erica, a figure of wealth and influence in the city. Kofi's new life seemed perfect: money, status, a beautiful wife. But with all his riches, he had left something precious behind. When Mama Margaret arrived in the city to visit her son, her heart swelled with pride. She wore her best kente cloth and carried a basket of hand-woven gifts, eager to see the man Kofi had become. But when she stepped into Kofi's luxurious home, her excitement quickly turned to sorrow. Amma took one look at Mama Margaret and sneered. "You should have told me your mother was this," she said, eyeing her up and down. "We could have prepared for her properly." From that moment, Mama Margaret became a ghost in her son's home. Amma and her mother, Madame Erica, saw her as nothing more than an embarrassment, a relic from Kofi's humble past that didn't belong in their world. She was given the smallest, coldest room, tucked away from the family, and whenever she tried to help around the house, Amma would snap at her. "We have servants for that, old woman. Don't make a mess." One evening, hoping to bridge the gap, Mama Margaret cooked a traditional dish from their village, a meal she had made for Kofi when he was a boy. She set the table with care, waiting to see her son's reaction. But when Amma entered the dining room, her face twisted in disgust. "This food smells like the village," Amma said, wrinkling her nose. "Kofi, I hope you don't miss this peasant food. We're civilized now." Kofi stood frozen, torn between his mother's love and his wife's disdain. His silence was deafening. He watched as Amma threw the food away, dismissing his mother's gift without a second thought. As the days passed, the cruelty deepened. Madame Erica took pleasure in belittling Mama Margaret, whispering to Amma, "Look at her, dragging your home down with her rags and backward ways. People like her belong in the village, not here." Madame Erica's words cut like a knife, and under her influence, Amma's treatment of Mama Margaret worsened. One morning, Amma decided to humiliate Mama Margaret further. "Mother-in-law," she said with a mocking smile, "since you love helping so much, why don't you scrub the floors?" Mama Margaret, proud but broken, quietly knelt and began cleaning the cold marble floors of her son's grand home. As she worked, Amma and Madame Erica stood over her, laughing softly. Kofi walked by, his eyes catching his mother's hunched figure, but still, he said nothing. His silence crushed Mama Margaret more than any insult ever could. At lavish dinners, Mama Margaret was forced to eat alone in the kitchen, far from the grand table where Amma and Madame Erica entertained guests. "You wouldn't fit in with our company," Madame Erica said, smiling cruelly. "You know, they expect a certain level of refinement." Mama Margaret never spoke of her pain. Every night she clutched the small pendant Kofi had given her as a boy and whispered, "Where is the son who once promised to care for me?" But despite the humiliation, despite the tears, Mama Margaret's love for Kofi never faltered. She endured the cruelty in silence, holding on to the hope that her son would one day remember his roots, remember the sacrifices she made. Will Mama Margaret continue to take the humiliation? Or will she go back to the village? Let's find out in the next part.
If you enjoyed this story, please remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell so you never miss another tale filled with wisdom and heart. Your support means the world to us. And together, we can keep sharing stories that inspire and uplift.